Welcome back to Blue Oval Tavern. Tell you what, we got a good one today. I saved my dad's Foxbody convertible. Stick around, show you how we did it. So this right here was my dad's 1989 Mustang GT. He got it back in 1993 when I was ripe age of 14 years old. He wasn't my blood dad and I wasn't his blood son, but this fella was my dad. He came into my life when I was 2 years old. I mean, he taught me how to tie my shoes. He taught me my manners in public. Taught me how to drive in this car, actually. Taught me how to respect cars and power. And man, he picked this car up just because Mom saw it at the used car lot and she liked it, so he brought it home. Taught me how to drive in this car. He let me take it to my my senior prom in 1997. So a lot of memories with my dad in this car. And he passed away in 2018, and his sister, who's like an aunt to me, she knew the connection that me and him had and the connection with this car, and she let me have it. Well, as fate would have it, his health deteriorated over a few years, and so did the car as well. The car's condition went downhill. So when the car was left to me, we brought it to my house and we literally had to pour it off the rollback. It didn't run. It had all kind of stuff wrong with it. I had remembered from a year or two before he passed away, me and him actually raced each other. So I got to race my old dad one last time before he passed away. And I remembered that night that we raced, the alternator wasn't charging. We had to jump the car over just to get him home. So when we got the car home, I had to do alternator work, I had to do drivetrain work, paint work, you name it. There were some distasteful mods, I thought, done to the outside of the car. So I pretty much undid all of that. And what we're going to do is make this a 3 or 4 part series. There's no way I can cover everything in one video. So what we'll do is this will kind of be, we'll call this the introduction, episode 1. And we'll do an episode 2 just on the interior, episode 3 on the engine work and everything. And then maybe episode 4 we'll just do drivetrain and body work all in one. So when I did get it home, he had also put a carburetor on it, and I swapped the fuel injection back on it. That was kind of the first order of business, was to get the car running and get the alternator working. That was like the first 2 things I did. Then I had to fix the brakes on it. That way I could move it throughout the yard and around the neighborhood, in and out of my garage. Because the first several months I worked on this car, I had to do it outside, under my carport. I couldn't even work on it inside my garage, because my wife and I, we both got cars that we keep in the garage, and I didn't want to put a dead car in the garage, taking up a garage space for months at a time. I wanted to get this car mobile first, so we did that. Got the car mobile, got the brakes and all that fixed on it, and then I started tackling the interior. And just a general overview of everything we did with the interior. We kept the Porno red. Wanted to keep this car as original as we could. I did put new carpet in the car. I did a dye job on the whole interior. Dyed the dash and everything. I refurbished the door panels, all that. That's stuff that we'll get into in probably chapter 2, episode 2. Then, first thing a lot of people see are the stern wheels, for good reason. They're the goats. I have wanted a set of stern wheels ever since I first laid eyes on a 93 Celine SA10, which would probably, I think I discovered that car probably around 95 or so. 95 or 96 was when I discovered this. And ever since then, I had to have a set of those stern wheels. And I kind of knew a guy that had a couple sets, actually. And well, I knew of him. We were acquaintance, but we had a good common friend. And fast forward years later, me and my wife were driving down to Mustang Week in my 04 GT that I had at the time, or maybe in my 2018 Mustang, whatever, don't matter. But I got a phone call, and it was my acquaintance that lived 4 hours away, literally asking me, hey, you want to buy a set of stern wheels? So needless to say, that was the longest Mustang week ever. I couldn't wait to get back home to get those wheels and put those on. And that's the first thing people see on the outside. We did a lot of reconditioning on the paint. It was kind of repainted years ago. One of my dad's buddies painted it, but they never did wet sand it and buff it. They didn't finish it properly. So it's respray that's several years old. But me and a buddy of mine, we did the finish work on it. But the other thing that people always point to is the Surbinator rear spoiler. I had originally intended on keeping the car bone stock. I was going to put it back to the way it was when he bought it in 1993. That was my honest intention. But when the sterns fell in my lap, obviously those plans changed. When I put the sterns on it, I felt like that opened myself up to tastefully mod the exterior. And man, I laid eyes on this Surbinator rear spoiler, and I just fell in love with it. And I felt like the way it mounts up on the deck lid with the weld nuts and these bolts, I felt like it really went well with the 3-piece wheels. And that's pretty much the only exterior mods on the car, other than I did lower the car with BMR springs when I did the suspension work, and we'll get into that in episode 3 or 4. But we worked on this car for about 2 years, just as money came and as deals would work out. Because me and my buddies, we do trade car parts a lot locally, so I had to cash in a lot of those and cash in some favors with some other good friends at Late Model Restoration. And here we are. This was the product that we ended up with. If you notice the Snowbird tag, that's because that was my dad's nickname. He was known all around the area as Snowbird. So I had to put the personalized tag on the car. Man, look at the shine on that hood. One of my favorite touches on the car was this little white PRS bird. That's always my reminder that Snowbird's in the driver's seat. The seats, by the way, they're not perfect. This is a driver quality car. It's 90. How many miles does this thing have on it? 95,000 and some odd thousand miles. Original miles. I've been tempted to replace the seats because I did the carpet and everything else, but I decided not to because I'm sentimental, and these are the seats that Snowbird and me sat in. He taught me how to drive in these seats, so I can't part with them. These seats are staying with the car. I'm just sentimental like that. So now we're going under the hood, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that you can never tell that this car used to have a carburetor on it. No sign of it whatsoever. And I gotta credit Dad with being smart when he put the carburetor on. He managed to keep the TFI distributor and the electric fuel pump working with the carburetor. He kept the computer in the car. He simply unplugged the mass air harness at the salt and pepper shakers, unplugged it there, and kept the wiring for the distributor, because the TFI wiring is not part of the salt and pepper shakers. It's part of the main wiring harness. So fire was still going to the distributor and the electric fuel pump was still working, but he had a humdinger of a fuel pressure regulator that he had the stock fuel rails going into with an adapter into this fuel pressure regulator, obviously cranking it down to what, 7 psi or something. So that made it incredibly easy for me to swap it back to fuel injection. Sourced most of these parts locally, but everything looks real good in here. It still has the Flowtech long tube headers and a Ford Racing Alphabet cam that he installed in the car. I feel like I remember him telling me that this car has an X cam in it, but everybody that hears this car, they think it's a B cam, which it don't matter much to me. Alphabet cam's an alphabet cam in my book. There's a lot better technology nowadays. I'd just like to know what lift it is so I could work with my cylinder heads a little bit. I'm afraid to put any kind of a head on it if it does have a X cam. But we took the car down to Ponies in the Smokies last year and it did great. Car's super reliable. I'll show you a little bit more here. But I'll never take this cam out just because that's the cam that he put in it. I'm leaving it that way. And the rest of the car has a matching Flowtech H-pipe that I got, and then I put a set of dumped Spintech 9000 mufflers on it, so it's super loud. But this is not a daily driver, so I can deal with the exhaust noise a little bit. Here's a little bit of that Spintech 9000 goodness. We'll just let you hear this. tell you what, guys like to rag on convertibles because they're the least desirable. I get it. I've had hatchbacks. I like them all. But I tell you what, there's something about this open air life and a big cam. Man, it don't get no better than this. You're missing out. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for episode 1 of I Saved My Dad's Foxbody Mustang. Hope you enjoyed the cruise at the end. I know it always makes me feel like Dad's still with me when I put the top down and take the car out for a spin. So I hope you enjoyed that as well. Stay tuned for the next couple episodes. We're probably going to make this a 4-episode series. So episode 2, when it comes out, will feature the interior restoration and how we saved it. And episode 3 will be on the engine, showing how we converted it back to fuel injection from carburetor. And then episode 4, we'll probably cover the suspension and the body together because there wasn't really a whole lot to cover on that. So we'll put those two together. So appreciate you watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please give us some likes and subscribes and hit the bell. And stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you for watching the Blue Oval Tavern. Catch you on the flip.